Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us on such a beautiful day here in Perseverance Park. We are here to talk about the recent executive order that President Trump put forward authorizing deportation of undocumented folks. And we want, again, the goal of Trump Tuesdays is to have an exchange of ideas and to talk about how these policies that are being discussed or executed in Washington have an impact on people right here in our neighborhoods and in the cities and the communities that we love. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Ali Wayne, who works for the Syracuse Peace Council, to talk to you about this. Ali.
So my name is Ali Wayne. I'm with the Syracuse Peace Council and a couple of other groups, including the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. I'm an immigrant. I've been here ever since I was 9 years old. I'm 40 years old now. And I'm definitely here to stay despite what Trump has been putting out. I was just asked to speak and I didn't have anything prepared, so I just wanted to sort of speak from my heart really briefly about what's going on right now. One of the most important things that you need to understand about these executive orders is how wide and how cruel and how calculated these executive orders are. I know that there's this rhetoric out there that Trump is trying to use, saying that, he's going after the bad hombres and talking about he's going after gang members and criminal aliens and all of that. Well, based on my reading of his executive orders, he's basically allowing himself the authority to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. That was based on my understanding as I read the orders myself, and I thought to myself, well, I'm not a lawyer, maybe I've gotten it wrong. But when I spoke to some of my lawyer friends who read through these executive orders, they confirmed that basically no one is safe. You could have been here for many years, no criminal record, U.S. citizen, children, husbands, spouses. That doesn't mean anything under Trump's era. Now, is that acceptable to you? I want to hear it. Is that acceptable to you? There have been so many cases over the past couple of weeks that have been just heartbreaking. There was a case, and I forget which state it was, of a woman who had a brain tumor who was in the hospital. She was in the hospital, and ICE agents took her from the hospital and put her in a detention center. Is that acceptable to you? Is that the America that you believe in? There have been cases of undocumented immigrants right now who are so fearful about what's happening under the Trump administration that they're not leaving their homes right now. And beyond that, and this is the shameful part, beyond that, there are undocumented immigrants right now crossing the border into Canada in the freezing weather because they are refugees from this country. They are refugees from America because that is the country that we are in right now. Is that acceptable to you? Now, I could stand here and give you case after case after case of all of the awful things that have been happening, but what I want to leave with you is the idea that right now we are in a battle for the very soul of this country. And I'm not exaggerating here. I've been here all of my life. I have never seen an environment like this when this country, which is supposed to be the land of the free, has become a country that our immigrant friends and neighbors flee from as refugees. Now, if that's the country that you want to live in, fine by me, but I know that I will fight this. I'm glad that the mayor is here to fight this, and I certainly hope that you are able to fight this so that you can look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, when this happened, it didn't happen without me pushing back, without me fighting back. So I hope you will keep fighting for what this country is supposed to stand for. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Ali has been a fantastic advocate for justice, and I'm just really proud that he stands with us on so many times to make sure that, as he said, we fight for the values that we believe in as Americans, that our Constitution stands for, that the Founding Fathers talked about. Our next speaker I'd like to bring up is Rebecca Fuentes, who works for the Workers Center, and have her also tell her story about how this is impacting people that she knows, she cares, and works with, and our neighbors. Rebecca?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Fuentes, and I proudly represent the Workers' Center of Central New York. And I'm very happy to be here today and seeing all of you that are supporting immigrants and refugees and the people that are most vulnerable, that are under attack by this administration. Our communities are under attack. The president-elect is an openly racist, nativist demagogue who climbed to victory by stoking fear and hatred of immigrants. This is not the first time we have confronted forces like this. We have faced down Minutemen and vigilantes, dismantled state laws designed to make our lives so miserable we will self-deport, defeated racist sheriffs, and disarm ICE deportations dragnet. But the scale and power of challenge we now face cannot be underestimated. We can meet it only if we match the fear that confronts us with the courage we have learned from our struggles. Only if we meet the hate that will destroy us with the love that ties us to our families and communities. And most importantly, only if we stand together and organize. And I'm very proud to say that in Central New York, we're organizing, we're bringing people together. And I like to remind you that this is not something new. It didn't start with this administration. Millions of people were deported under the previous administration. They were told that they were criminals, but we know them. We remember a lot of them, they were our friends, and they were families, they were fathers, they were mothers. There were people who were here having a life, they were working, they were helping this state to make it prosper. Today we have so many people in the farms, in Syracuse too, so many people who are here who are afraid, but they are very, very encouraged when they see us together and when they see us working and fighting back. And I just want to tell you about our friend Jose Coyote Perez. Jose, we know him for a few years back. He is not from this area, he lives in Livingston County, but we organize with workers all over in upstate, and he has been a voice for the struggles of farm workers. He has been out there in the marches for the 5 for 15. He has been speaking up to make sure that farm workers also get a raise of the minimum wage, because last year there was talk in the Senate, there was talk when they were talking about, the 15, that we actually didn't get 15 upstate, but we got 12.50, right, remember that? Well, the farm workers, the Farm Bureau, and many politicians that represent the interest of the employers, the farmers, they organized very well, and they wanted to keep the farm workers out of that race, even the 12.50 that we got here. Jose Coyote was one of the people who spoke up, and this is a picture that we put out there to get support from a lot of people. And I'm gonna read to you in English what he says. He says, "We dedicate ourselves to the hardest job. We are here from sun to sunset, from sun, I'm sorry, what, for the sun, okay, you got it. From the very early to very, very late. It doesn't matter if it rains or if there's snow. We feed the world, and it is not humane that we are excluded." That was back then, that was around March. He's being interviewed here by a reporter when he was at the 5 for 15 and also fighting to keep the minimum wage for farm workers. We were so proud. He didn't hide. He spoke up for everyone. As a farm worker, a dignified person who wanted to speak up for workers' rights. And now we are standing here and asking you to please support his struggle and the struggle of so many workers, so many people that are here in New York. The way that you can do it also is to making sure that we have sanctuary, but not only in Syracuse, we will expand it all in New York. But one thing that is very important is that people are allowed in upstate to have a driver's license. Because in upstate New York, that is, if you have contact with law enforcement in a lot of the counties up there, that is the sure route for you to be deported, for you to lose contact with your family, for you to disappear. If you are an immigrant, if you are a farm worker. So I'm asking you, we're asking you, the Worker Center, and everyone who supports workers' rights, and I know the mayor too, because she's been openly supporting this campaign, and we thank her very much. We're asking you, yes. Yeah, that is courage. That is courage. That is not very popular. By the way, we just talked yesterday with Senator Valesky, and I'm telling you, they are afraid to take this stand. They are afraid to say it openly, that they support this kind of legislation. And I'm saying, why? If you say that you are against the policies of Donald Trump, it's easy to say, right? Because over there it's at the federal level. But here there is something you can do in the state of New York. You can say, yes, I support immigrants in New York, and I'm going to do something like supporting the driver license campaign and be a sponsor so that his name is there as the champion for farm workers and for immigrants in New York. We asked him that, and we are asking you to please let him know and let your representatives know. I know it's tough. I know it's not popular, but it's the right thing. Support policies that are going to make the life of immigrants, undocumented immigrants in New York easier. That is what gives the teeth to sanctuary. So please, thank you so much for support the Green Light Driving Together campaign for driver licenses for everyone, just like in 12 other states. They have it. Why don't we? There's a long story. There's a long story of why we used to have it before 2002. But Governor Pataki, under that idea that everyone who is an immigrant could be a terrorist, stopped it and made an executive order to stop that possibility back then. But we are here now. It's time to correct that. So please support us. We're going to Albany on Tuesday. You can come with us and be part of this group of people that are making this happening, that are making really New York a sanctuary. We also have a petition to free Jose, our friend who is in detention, he just separated from his family since Friday. And there was no reason for that. His case had been already closed, administratively closed. He's been in the United States for like 18 years. He has 4 kids. He's a dairy farm worker, and like I said, a great spokesperson for workers' rights and human rights. So thank you so much. Support our campaign. And if you have any questions for the Worker Center, for the work that we do, please ask us. And Si Se Puede, thank you so much. And you look wonderful. Thank you. Si se puede. 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 Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Ali. I want to just close this part of it to tell you all that I was heartened when you said that I was courageous to support driver's license. Courage is when you come out and support people who are being threatened. Courage is when people work from sunup to sundown to bring us apples and onions and milk and yogurt. And that's what this community is doing. So this is about keeping families together, and it's also about making sure that we understand when we have affordable vegetables and affordable produce, and we have an agricultural community in our community, it exists because of the hard work, largely of undocumented immigrants who are working from sunup to sundown. So let's not ignore the fact that this is an economy that works off of them. And let's not demonize them or make them criminals. Now, again want to thank you all for being here. I know we have some Trump supporters over here, both actually, literally, and metaphorically to my right. I would be happy to hand you the mic if you'd like to come up here and say something to show you that we believe in dialogue and we believe in respectful dialogue. And we are willing to listen as well as talk. So I am happy to give you this mic if you'd like to come up here and say something.
Well, thank you, Mayor Miner, for giving us an opportunity to talk. Really appreciate that. Well, you know, we believe in immigration, but we believe in illegal immigration. President Trump has said he's going to build a wall, but he's going to have a big old door to let people in legally. I think that's what we need to do, because if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. And we have to be on the lookout for terrorists. And, well, I think that pretty much sums it up. But we think that that immigration should be legal, not illegal. What's that?
Do we need a wall in Canada too? Do we need a wall there?
Well, if there's people coming across that could be terrorists, you know, I'm sure there has been documented stories of a lot of terrorists trying to infiltrate from Maury. They took the boat from Eastern Europe. Yeah. And they did it the legal way. They couldn't wait to become American citizens and learn the English language. And I just wish they were here today. What's that? All right, well, I guess that sums it up. I know you guys will never agree with me, but thank you, Mayor Miner. And, you know, we do agree with you on some issues, that's for sure, especially consensus.
Well, listen, I said a democracy exists and can flourish when you listen to people. And I think what your points are, what you say, are points for us to listen to about the nature of immigration and about the nature of making sure that we protect ourselves. But I also want to share with you that I'm not going to say we, I think that people are being demonized. And I think that whether it was refugees from South Sudan or whether it is undocumented farm workers, they're being painted as criminals. And I have no problem deporting actual criminals. But don't paint people as criminals based on the fact that they were born in a certain place. We are not going to become a better society, and I want you to respond to this. We're not going to become a better society or have a better economy when we generalize about people based on where they were born or what their skin color is. We need to make sure that we have actual solutions to actual problems, not generalized solutions to problems that may or may not exist.
Well, I would like to touch on the issue of farm workers. My grandparents ran a dairy farm in Rutland, Vermont, and believe me, no one is more cognizant of the fact of how rough agricultural work is. I spent my summers up there, and the one thing I would want to say is that a lot of these folks who are undocumented workers are not getting the regular pay that regular workers should. And I think that if we were giving everybody who worked on a farm a living wage, well, that would help solve the problem of
I think
the
that
workers.
you might find a lot of agreement out there about that.
Well, that's a good thing, and you know, dairy farmers, they get up at 5:30 in the morning. They go to bed about 9 o'clock, and they're with their animals, their cows, their cattle all day long. So it's a really rough life, and working in the agricultural field is brutal. I've actually done it myself, but if you give these folks a living wage, you would get American workers to do that. A lot of people don't feel that American workers are willing to work on farms. Well, that's not true. You know, I've done it myself. So, and I don't think we're really demonizing people, but if they, you know, the people who have been picked up so far with the illegal aliens, a lot of them have had sex charges, and this is true. It's documented. It's documented. I'm not making this up. So it's only folks that have criminal records who've been picked up so far.
So let's just stop. I'll tell you what, I've been following this pretty closely, and that is not the facts that I have seen. Now, but I'm willing, if you want to bring facts to me that show that, I'm willing to, and next week, to read those out. Again, I don't want to go into a phrase here, but real facts that we can all agree on. Because again, we all need to live here together. This is all of our community, this is all of our country, and the way that we're going to move forward is by listening to each other, not just booing and yelling, and not just each deciding that we're going to have our own separate facts and our own separate arguments. So I want to thank you all for being here, and we are available here for questions afterwards. But I also want to note that you're wearing shorts in February in Syracuse.
Great.
So one of our Trump Tuesdays was about climate change. Just want to say. All right. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone.